Welcome to the Peace and Security Podcast, where we believe the world is crazy. It's busy and fast-paced and sometimes fake, and we're looking for real. We're looking for real success habits that last a long time, that breed peace and security. I'm your host, Zach Santmeyer, and I'm joined by three of my co-hosts.
Leanne, Kaylee, Jordan.
We're excited to have a conversation today about peace and security. This episode is brought to you by Trumble Insurance Agency. It's no surprise that the four of us are part of the Trumble family. And if you're not, we would love to have you be a part of our family. If you have auto insurance, homeowners insurance, life or health, we can help. We would love to help you with insurance, but more than that, it's our goal really at Trumble, and it's our mission, we say it every day, to turn your stress and anxiety into peace and security through insurance and exceptional service. So we hope that you join our family soon. So we want to do a little bit of kind of a book club, but for you ladies and then for everybody who's listening here, we wanted to talk about kind of perspective, mind shift a little bit about money, and also just how we think, because I think how we think affects how we live. And I think all of us want to live a vibrant life, right? So as we get started, next week will be kind of our first week where we really get into the material of this book, of Think and Grow Rich. This week, we kind of want to intro it a little bit and talk about why we're doing this book, and then talk about some of the limiting beliefs maybe we have that hopefully this book will help overcome. So when you guys think about money, when you think about success, what do you think breeds wealth and success? What have you been taught breeds wealth and success?
Hard work, for sure.
Like, you mean just like long hours or like what?
Yeah, well, I would say I didn't really have, for me it was like when I was growing up, you go to school, you go to college, you graduate college, you get a job, and you work the rest of your life. Yep. But, I've come to found that there's very many different ways to become successful and make money than just doing that.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I think mindset. Plays a huge part into success.
Yeah. How you think about things, or?
Yeah, how you think about things, how you see things, visualize things, makes a big difference in how far you get.
Yeah.
I think I've always grown up with the understanding that success takes a lot of sacrifice in certain areas of your life. It's hard to keep every ball in the air all of the time, so some things have to be sacrificed for other areas to really flourish.
Maybe we should talk a little about like take a step back. Like, what is success? So, like, what do you think success is, or how has success been modeled to you in the past?
I always think about money. That's the first thing I think about, and I'm still figuring out if that's good or bad, or what else I should be thinking about when it comes to success.
Yeah.
I would agree with Kaylee. My past beliefs have always been that success is mostly based on financial gain and security.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And is that like represented in a house, in a car? Like, do you feel like success is portrayed? Like, you have to portray it, or do you feel like success is sometimes quiet?
I think most often success is quiet. I think real substantial success is often very quiet and flies under the radar. It's not always quite as flashy.
Yeah, long-term success seems a lot more quiet than short-term success is a lot louder.
But that's kind of like opposite of our society, though, right? I mean, Instagram is like very short-term success. People rent jets to take pictures on.
Instagram is everybody's highlight reel.
Yeah, it's not real, right?
No.
It's not the real.
No.
I think a lot of people that are driven for long-term success are not out for attention. So they're not out for the immediate attention that you would receive from short-term success. They've got their head down, they're working, they're in it for the long haul.
They never finish, or they never cross a finish line. They're constantly, it's just moving with them.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think are some areas that you guys personally, or that you feel like society in general needs to grow in that, especially when we think about Instagram, we think about TikTok, like these quick hit sort of things. We're in a quick hit society, yet kind of we all agree that success is like long-term, and truly successful people have a long-term mindset that's not flashy, not on Instagram or TikTok. So what do you feel like we need to do individually to overcome like what society has put on us, or how our surroundings have kind of maybe negatively influenced us? What do we need to do?
I think keeping in mind that Instagram is everybody's highlight reel and that that's not actual long-term success, knowing that there's a difference between being successful in real life and being successful in social media life.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. That's hard though, right?
Oh, it's super hard, but it's becoming more, I don't know the word for it, common. I want to say a lot of people are coming on Instagram saying like, hope you guys understand this is not like, not everything. I have bad days. There is bad days.
Yeah. It feels though, and this is a bit of a tangent, but it feels sometimes that even people doing that is like also still feeding the
Still fake.
Still fake, right? Like
Yeah.
even like I think TikTok, right? Like there's the like the weight, like here's my weight or whatever challenge that people, you've seen that, like here's what 120 pounds looks like or something like that. Like there's just like challenge, like guys and girls, and it's like they're trying to be real, but at the same time it's still fake. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like still like for show, it's still for vanity, it's still for attention, you know?
Well, that's what social media is vanity and attention.
It is. And so I think in a conversation, in a podcast where we're trying to talk about like what actually breeds true success, what are actual real success habits, like we have to realize that the world around us is not giving us that information.
No.
Yeah. It's negatively affecting us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of capitalizing on that and what you were saying about social media, like the quick hits, the attention. It's fun. It is fun. We all like attention on some level.
Yeah.
But what it also is it's distracting from what real success is, because real success takes focus and it takes discipline. So I think on a personal level, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, I really like to keep in check how much I go to like the social media for the quick hits of attention, because I don't want to be distracted from focusing on what is actually important in front of me.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and it feels like social media too, it's like, it's always selling you something. You know, it's selling you like a product, it's selling you an image, it's selling you a lifestyle, whatever it is. It's always selling you something. And so I think like one of the things I'm excited about for this podcast and like for our talks is like to actually have some real conversation that's not motivated by something that's fake, but it's motivated by actually chasing after something that's real, chasing after something that is lasting, and studying people who are actually successful, not people who look successful. And that's what I want to do through these books that we read and through the conversation we have, is not talk about like people who learned how to make $1 million in 90 days, but people who built billion-dollar companies, massive industries, have studied success principles, and are not the fakes, the phonies. And there's only a handful. Like there's really only a handful of people. I think there's 2,700 billionaires, and 500 and something of them were added in 2020 last year. So you know, it's a very small group of people, really, and most of those billionaires have never even written a book. You know, most of them haven't. But there's been people who study them that we're going to study. So we're going to kind of get like third-hand knowledge, but it's better than, you know, Instagram knowledge, right? So let's talk about Think and Grow Rich. I talked to you guys about getting this book. If you're listening to this and have not got this book, you should, because Think and Grow Rich is one of those books that several years ago really changed my life, changed the way I think. It's real. It's talking about real successful people. And so when you guys picked up this book, what were some of your preconceived notions, and what were you trying to get out of kind of a study on Think and Grow Rich?
When I started reading it, I really didn't know what I was getting into, like what the book really was going to talk about. And just the first chapter, I like cannot wait to read the next one.
Yeah. There's a lot of like bombs in it. Yeah.
I mean, it gives such good examples about how the way you think really changes your life, basically. Yeah, it's just super cool.
Yeah, yeah. What do you guys want to get out of this book? What do you want to get out of this, like these talks that we have?
I really want to focus on evolving my mindset. As I grow in life, professionally and personally, I want my mindset to mature. So studying the greats that have had success and have withstood the test of time, there's a lot to be learned. So I would just like to learn a lot that I can use in my life going forward.
100%.
I like, too, that we're all doing this together, because then everybody's mindsets, you know, the people's mindsets around you definitely affect your own self.
Absolutely.
So the
Yeah.
fact that we're all doing this together is going to be even better.
Yeah. And for you who are listening, like, we want you to do this with us because there's just so much fake out there. And so for us, like, it's just going to be a weekly conversation. So in the comments on social, we're going to be posting a lot about what we're learning through this and a lot of the content that we've kind of sifted through this book. And so, like, we want you to be a part of the conversation as well, part of a real conversation about real success, not fleeting or quick hits, but lasting success. And then kind of our own insights and how we're reading it as well. Again, we want to hear from you too. So, in the comments and on social, we'd love to hear how you are digesting it and kind of what light bulbs went off in your mind as you're getting into this book. So I want to talk a little bit about Napoleon Hill because he's an interesting character. It's the guy who wrote this book. And when you look at like books that people write, what's really important is to figure out who the author is and what their motivation was for writing what they wrote, and also like what time and energy they put into it. I wrote a book and it was a super easy, fast book. Like, if you want to be an expert on something, don't read my book. Like, candidly, like that's not what it was written for. It was written for a project for me, for personal growth. Some people probably got some stuff out of it. I basically told my life stories. But like when I'm reading a book for like knowledge and understanding, I want to know, what did the person do to get the knowledge? How deep is the knowledge? Who are the sources? So that I want to know if it's valid or if it's invalid. So Napoleon Hill was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie when he was young, just starting out his career. And Andrew Carnegie, obviously we know at the turn of the century, this guy was wealthy, one of the most wealthy guys of the 20th century, and also one of the wisest guys. And Andrew Carnegie had what he called the Carnegie Principle. And that's the principle we're going to find inside his book, Think and Grow Rich. And he told Napoleon Hill, hey, I want you to spend 20 years of your life studying all of these successful people who I've given this principle to or who have naturally been successful by applying this principle into their lives. And so this guy, Napoleon Hill, spent literally 20 years of his life just studying some of the greats. Henry Ford, Theodore Roosevelt. He studied Charles Schwab, J.P. Morgan. There's the list goes on of like these heavy hitter names that you hear of, like who just changed industries, who made billions of dollars in our dollars today, billions of dollars even in their dollars when they were starting out, which is just mind blowing because we're talking about 120 years ago. And so he studied these guys and found that they all achieved success by very similar principles, by very similar means. And so this book is 20 years of research into the best minds that have existed, at least in the past 150 years, maybe more. This is, we had the Industrial Revolution. These guys were at the forefront of it, which is pretty significant. This book was written right after the Great Depression. And so, I love when, a young person gets on Instagram and, says how much money they've made in the past 5 years. It's like, well, you've never been through 2008. You've never been through the Great Depression. You've never been through a huge recession. And they always come, right? The 80s and 90s. Every decade there's something. And this book is written right after the Great Depression, one of the worst times that, the country has ever seen economically. And so we're hearing from someone who has been through the depths, seen people who were successful go through the depths of hard times, and has seen that these principles they're valid even through the hardest of times. So that's kind of the background for this book and why I think it's worth our read and worth our discussion. So as we get into the book, just understanding the context, I think is going to be so important. So as you read this week, and you're going to start reading chapter 1, I would encourage you to read the preface. In my book, there's several different prefaces on Audible. There's several different prefaces rather. There's an author's preface to the original edition that I think is really good. He wrote this in 1937, this author's preface. And that's just from Napoleon Hill's own hand. He's kind of giving you some of the background that I just laid out. So don't skip over that as you read this week. And next week, we're going to unpack chapter 1. Are you guys excited?
So excited.
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
Yes.
We're going to grow. So we'll see you next week. As we pursue success, one of the most important things that you can do is succeed today. So as we start your day, we're going to focus on breathing. It might feel a little weird, but join along. Because as we breathe, we're going to breathe in all the good things and we're going to breathe out the bad. And we're going to get energy to dominate and succeed today.
Join us as we breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. 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 Out, 2, 3, 4.